Alright guys, here's a quick video. So this page here has two questions that are distributive property. How do we know that? Because something touches the parentheses. Anytime something touches the parentheses, it needs to be multiplied or distributed with the numbers inside. So on the first one here, when you distribute 12b to 3 over 4b, because you have a b on both sides, you need to add those exponents. So it gives you 9b to the second power when you multiply. Now you distribute to the next term. 12b times negative 2, because that sign belongs to the 2, is negative 24b. No need to add exponents because there was no b on this term. And that's your answer. And we can move it along. So same thing on this side, but we want to change these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So you can either do it yourself by multiplying here and adding up top, or you can just use the calculator button, second, and the ABC button. It changes it for you. So now the top one, the first one gives you 4 over 3w minus 17 over 6 over here. And now we can distribute the negative 3w to both terms. On the first term, it gives you negative 4w to the second power. Don't forget to add those exponents. And now here the mistake happens. Do not bring down a minus. If your result is positive, your sign should be plus down here. So a negative times a negative is a positive. In this case, we get 51 over 6. If you turn that into a mixed number by dividing old school way or with the same button, you get 8.5. So the answer here would be A. Alright, the second page has two questions that are the opposite of distributing, which is factoring here. So let me show you how to do both of these. You have 20p to the fourth minus 15p to the sixth. If they're asking you to factor, they're asking you to take out the greatest common factor between both of these terms, which means what they have in common. What can they be divided by? So 5 is the greatest number that I can think of, right? That goes into 20 and 15. So it's 5 times 4 here, and 5 times negative 3 on this side. Now you have p to the fourth power, means p times itself 4 times. And on this side you have 6 p's, because it's p to the 6th power. Now what they have in common is a 5 and the lowest amount of variable, which is 4 p's. So you can take that outside of a parentheses, factor it out, and what's left in there is still inside of your parentheses. On the first term, only a 4 left over, and in the second term, minus 3 and 2 p's, so p to the second. And that would be the factored form of that expression up top, which is C. Now yes, if they give you multiple choice questions, you could distribute and technically get to this point, but there's going to be more than one answer that give you that same value when you distribute. Only one of them has the greatest common factor taken out and is correct. So make sure you do this work so you don't make a simple mistake. Alright, on this one down here, usually people want to use a 3 to break down the 6. Do not do that, because 6 can be broken down by 6, and 6 is bigger than 3. So make sure you use the greatest common factor. 6 goes into 6 and 18. So let's save some time with the variables here. We know they have a 6 in common. What's the lowest amount of variable? You have z to the 7th or z to the 3rd. The lowest amount is z to the 3rd. And now what would be left on that first term is just the leftover z's. So z to the 4th power minus 3, because all the z's got taken out, there's no z's left over on that value. Alright, now let's go to that final page with another two questions on it. This page is about order of operation. Alright, so make sure you remember PEMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiplication or division, addition or subtraction. I write these like this because first come, first serve. If you see division first, you're doing division first. You're not skipping it for multiplication. Alright, so another thing that's important here that comes up in these two questions, if you have a number in a parentheses with a 2 exponent on it, then that does mean that negative number times itself, which gives you positive number, 16. But down here you have a negative 2 to the second without a parentheses. That is negative 4, not positive 4, because if the negative is not inside of your parentheses, it does not get included with the exponent. So keep that in mind as we work these out. So the first step we do here is that exponent, because inside the parentheses you just have a number. A number is not an operation you can do. If there were more numbers in there, then you can simplify it. So we're already at the exponent level here. So negative 4 to the second power gives you positive 16. Bring down everything else on the left side with the minus. And now this cubic root, important to talk about that really quickly here. So if you have a number multiplied by itself 3 times, that's 5 to the third power, right? And the same kind of thinking in reverse. 5 times 5 times 5 equals 125. So the cubic root of 125 must be 5. So the opposite of a 3 exponent is a 3 root, right? So make sure you remember that 3 situation here so you can clean it up to a regular number. Now over here, let's go back to the cubic root. 10 to the second power is 100. You're not going to add before doing this exponent here, so the next step you do is 5 to the second power, which is 25. And now you can add them together, and you get cubic root of 125. And now we know that 125 has a cubic root of 5, because we just did this explanation over here. And 16 times 3.75 gives you 60. Now you can put those together, 60 minus 5, to get your final answer of 55. Alright, last question over here. Let's start by turning that mixed number into an improper fraction. And by simplifying the square root portion of this to square root of 36. And now the left side gives you positive 25 over 16. And the right side is just 6. And now when you add those up, whether it be calculator or doing it the long way, making it a fraction, multiplying it by 16, you get 121 over 16. When you're done with that, it turns into 7 and 9 over 16. Alright, hopefully that helped. Another video coming soon.